I want to talk about this real quick. So Robert White, I don't know if you're still watching, but I saw your comments. You surrendered an IUL 2 months ago. You had $11,000 in it after watching many of the videos that I've made on IUL, which I have a ton of them. Yep. I just looked, my IUL playlist has 67 videos in it. I'm like, I might need to start another IUL playlist at this point in time. It's getting a little big. But you had $11,000 in it. So, that's, I don't know what to say. I'm cool. Good. Well, like I'm glad that you at least are educated now and you made, hopefully you made what you believe or what you feel like is the best and most educated decision for you. I'm not sure how old or mature the policy was. I don't know what your surrender fees were.
Yeah, because you could have maybe, I don't know if a 1035 would have worked.
Sure.
Or,
well, it definitely would have.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely would have worked.
Yeah.
But is it good to do? And then what is good?
Yeah,
that is another question. Like for you and for all of it. So
So. I would say anybody that has an IUL, surrendering can be a good path. A lot of times it's not. I would say this is like, I would go back before you ever surrender a policy like that. I would go back and I would think, and I would say, why did I buy this?
Yeah.
What role, what function in my life did I want or expect this policy to play? Right. Yeah. And so when you do that, what happens is you kind of go back and it makes it so you don't make an emotional decision about just like, oh crap, I learned this, I got scammed or I got this or that or whatever, however you're feeling, and just make this emotionally driven decision to just surrender it and be done with it and just like move on, right? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you bought that policy for a reason, right? Yeah. Now, just because you weren't fully educated and you put your money into it doesn't mean that the reasons weren't valid and legitimate. Right. Yeah. And so you want to still make sure that you're meeting those needs. And, if you've watched any of my videos, you know how I feel about this. Like, I'm a big believer. We all need to save before we invest. So saving money is a key component. We need to build our financial foundation so then we can build on top of that. It's kind of like, you don't go out and build a house on sand. Yeah. You bring in an excavator, you dig a hole, you pour a foundation, you do all the things, and then you build on top of it. And that's what we're talking about. And that I would say the whole life policy is the foundation that you build on.
Yeah. I think that's why I like, hanging out with you and, on our channel, it's all about building foundational wealth.
Yep.
Right. Yep. And that's our channel, Wealth Wisdom Financial. If you're on Life 180, go over to ours, you'll hear similar things.
Yep.
But like literally it's building foundational wealth. Mm-hmm. Like the safety is savings is different than investing, even though the 401k likes to say you're saving and you're not, right? The 529 savings plan, right? Those things, it's all marketing on the Wall Street side, right?
Yeah.
And then we're still trying to figure out, okay, how do I make savings sexy? Is kind of what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, totally.
How do I make it where it seems awesome? And sometimes, and this is where I've worked with my clients, the sexiness and all of that of building a foundation kind of sucks. Mm-hmm. Right? Building the foundation, learning to be a good saver, saving a little bit and not seeing as much of the results, right? It's kind of like a house, right? When you build a house, that foundational work is, you're like, what the heck are they doing? Are they ever going to actually do anything? And they're doing all the plumbing, the down and the groundwork. And then all of a sudden the house grows up real fast. Yep. And I think you mentioned this in your video recently. That first 10 years is kind of like foundation building.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's that tortoise and hare thing where you're like, wait, how did that get up so fast?
Yeah.
It's because the foundation is built.
Right. I mean, guys, this is the thing that drives me. And Robert, I would say either one of us could help you with infinite banking. I mean, you can email Chris at Life 180 and I'm happy to help you. Or what's your email?
Yeah, Brandon at Grandma's Wealth Wisdom. It's eventually you go to wealthwisdomfp.com.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, just email one of us, whatever you want to do, and we could help you. But, the thing that drives me to do what I do, and it honestly drives me nuts in a lot of ways, is the fact that we know that the market is cyclical. right?
Yeah.
We know it goes up, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down, and it does it like clockwork. It's as predictable as the sun rising on the east and setting on the west. Is that market's going to go up, we're going to have a boom cycle, and then we're going to have a bust cycle. And a lot of times, and I believe we're in a bust cycle right now, and it doesn't mean the world is going to hell, right? It doesn't mean that the sky is falling. It doesn't mean anything. It just is the natural cycle of the economy.
Yeah.
And so to me, if we know that that's the case, and we know that that's going to happen inevitably, why is it that everybody's financial plan is not baking that cyclical nature of the economy into our strategy? And so to me, the thing is, and this is why I talk about the importance of financial structure, right? And I know that can be a little overwhelming for people, because like the idea, like that phrase alone, maybe I should get better at my marketing with that. It's like financial structure. It just sounds, my wife is always like, you're such a nerd, and I'm like, well, I don't know what to say. Like, I feel like this stuff is, I'm not here to make it sexy. I'm here to make it make sense. I'm here to help people, have a better understanding so they can make better decisions for themselves. And so when we look at the cyclical nature of things, and then we look at what are people doing, I mean, look around the world. The reason I called my company Life 180 is living intentionally for excellence. And 180 is about turning the results around in your life, because 95% of the people in this world are not happy with their financial results. They're behind where they want to be or should be or whatever. And when you look at it like that, it's like, okay, if 95% of the people are getting poor results, I'm a big believer, you want to be successful, find people that are successful and emulate what they're doing. So you can't follow common, Main Street strategies to get where you want to go. And what do most people do? They go to school, get a job, invest in a 401k, just start investing.
Because someone else told them to.
Because somebody else told them to. And then another thing that people believe is the younger you are, the more risk you can take.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's a phrase that I think everybody hears.
No risk, no reward.
No risk, no reward. And the challenge is when you look at it like that from your investment perspective, you get out of school, you get a job, you start investing in your 20s. Most people don't even do that. But even if you did, what happens is you invest. But if you don't save first, if you don't build your foundation, what happens is now you are, and I've done a thing called my Life 180 Pyramid talk on this, but what happens is you could feel really good for a decade, right? You can have nothing but growth. But if you don't have enough savings reserves, if you don't have an opportunity fund, if you don't have yourself positioned to be able to be what I would call an opportunistic investor, what happens is you become the antithesis of that. You become the opposite of that. And you become one of the masses, one of the sheep, one of the cattle that gets slaughtered during the down cycles. Because what happens in down cycles is the economy goes down, the stock market goes down, real estate values goes down. It's contraction across the board typically, right?
Well, and then there's going to be what I think about is like that blood on the street, right? There's going to be a lot of that, but there's also going to be a lot of people who are making millions, right? And I was thinking about this from Mark Cuban as I watch some of Shark Tank. He even mentioned on one of his things, he's like, I have this much in cash reserves. I have this much in liquidity. And I was like, man, that would be crazy for some people to say, wait, he could be investing that. But yet he said, I do that for mitigating risks and emergencies, whether it's a life insurance policy. I don't know. But I do know that he mentioned it on there. And I was like, that's because he built a good foundation. And everybody knows who Mark Cuban is, right? And he's able to risk more. And we think, well, he's just different than I am. I'm like, no, he's no different. He just built a good foundation. And now he's been able to leverage and use it. And he doesn't just say, I want that deal. He thinks about it, right? And I think about this from our method, and why I love, hanging out with you, is our method is the still method. And it's inverse of chaos, which is confusing, haphazard, anxious, overwhelming, and stressful. This is our tax code. This is our 401ks. Most people don't even understand how to read that stuff, right?
Yep.
So chaos, right?
Yep.
And what we need to think about is still, which is our method called the still method, which came from the Bible, by the way.
Yep.
And it's setting your sights, right? You can start this when you're 12, when you're 15, when you're 21, but setting your sights. Where do you want to go? Right? You're not going to know, how to overcome this mountain. You might just see a little bit. So you set your sights of where do I want to head up and build, and reflect on those things. Then you track your in and out, inspect your progress, look for 1% adjustments, and live deliberately. The policies in itself is just a way to set your sights, track, inspect, look for 1%, and live deliberately. But really, the main thing I think about is when it comes to investments, when it comes to anything, it's investing in what you know, what you want to know about, because everybody's a real estate investor right now. And I'm like, well, what kind of real estate? What, and there's different answers.
Yeah.
For different things, right? And
Totally.
so sometimes people apply advice for real estate, and maybe they're a buy and hold real investor, not a
flipper. Yeah.
And that's different.
Totally different strategies.
Yep. Different rules, and we have to think about how do we then build the foundation and not just apply, even from us on Facebook and YouTube and all this. Don't just listen to us. How does this strategy help you do what you want to do?